for 52 times. 2 would have been enough. You could have got away. I've got scars on my wrist, and I know what it feels like to bleed, and I ain't gonna die. But you are. Stop. Because if I stop, it will never end.
On the morning of March 7th, 2015, the day after her 17th birthday, young Ashley packed her bags, loaded them into her truck, and drove away from her mother and stepfather's home, and away from her 3 younger sisters, aged 9, 8, and 3. She went to the home of a nearby friend where her boyfriend was waiting for her. There, the couple spent the night, and then got in Ashley's truck the next morning and hit the road from Rhinelander, Wisconsin, to Danny's hometown of Nashville, Tennessee, with plans of starting over together. A few hours into their trip, and suddenly, the truck was being followed by a squad of police cars. You see, while they were on the road, Ashley's mother and stepfather, Jennifer and Thomas Ayers, were found murdered inside their home. Thomas was shot twice, while Jennifer suffered dozens of stab wounds. Now detectives are sitting in front of Ashley trying to figure out exactly what happened before she left home on the morning of the 7th. Detectives began the interview by asking Ashley questions about her home life. These ancillary questions served 2 main functions: to gather pertinent background information about Ashley's home life, and to get her comfortable with speaking to detectives by asking questions unrelated to the crime.
Well, what is it like living in that house?
Some days were good. It was better when he was at work, because he still worked in North Dakota on the oil fields for a while.
Right.
And my mom didn't get along very well.
When you're talking to him, you're talking about Thomas?
Yes.
And your mom is Jennifer?
Yes.
Okay. So it was better when he was working on the oil fields. So then what?
What do you mean?
Well, what was it like?
When he was gone, it was a lot better. He wasn't good to my mom. He always hit her. Threatened to kill her.
How can you describe that?
He would push her around, smack her, choke her. At one point, he held a gun to her head.
Okay, pushing her and slapping her and holding a gun to her head?
Yes.
What can you tell me about the holding her gun to her head? What can you tell me about that?
I didn't actually see it. I was just in my room. I heard them yelling and fighting about it. The only reason I knew for sure was because my mom told me the next day about it. She always came to me to talk about it. She had no one else to talk to.
Okay. And that's one of the problems I'm having is I don't know who you know. So that's one of the problems I'm having. So, what did she say about that?
She told me that she was trying to find a way out. Because she's tired of him doing that to her. That's why she just got 2 new jobs. She wanted to save up money and leave. He didn't know about it.
Okay, so she had more than one job?
Yeah, she just got 2.
Where did she work?
She had a job out in Walmart.
Okay.
And then this new nursing job.
Okay. But she had a plan, is what you're saying. Okay. Now, what was she going to do with you when she left?
She was going to take me with her. She was going to leave us, everyone else behind.
She was going to leave the 3 girls behind and take you with? Okay. Sounds like you had a pretty good relationship with your mom.
I did. He didn't hurt me.
If their relationship was actually as good as Ashley describes, and they had plans to leave together, her sentiments raise an alarming question. Why would she choose to kill her mother as well? The detectives pick up on this discrepancy and, knowing that there has to be more to it, they dig deeper into the subject.
Who's your best friend?
She was my best friend.
This is a bait question. The detective already knew what answer she would give based on her strong emotional response to the last question. The detective is attempting to pull at her heartstrings and build onto the suspect's emotional turbulence, planting seeds of guilt that they're hoping will lead to a confession.
So what happened that got you here?
I come to them fight again over me.
Ashley is sniffling quite frequently throughout this part of the interview. However, notice that she hasn't wiped her nose. Frequent sniffling can also be an indicator of spikes in stress, since the body looks for ways to oxygenate when it's under pressure or feels threatened. Alternatively, this could be an attention-seeking behavior meant to garner sympathy from the detectives or a tactic to buy time to think.
2 gunshots going off. And I went to my mom and I saw that she had a gun. She shot me.
According to Ashley, it was Jennifer who shot her stepfather during an argument on the morning of March 7th. Hearing the gunshot, she ran upstairs and managed to get the gun away from her mom, after which Jennifer picked up a knife, started yelling and blaming her for Thomas's death, then came at her. Ashley was able to wrestle the knife away, but not before being stabbed in the thigh. Thereafter, she stabbed her mother to death. Given where the deceased couple were found and how they died, this is a believable story. However, the suspect doesn't know that detectives have vital evidence that puts a rather large hole in her statement. They'll get into that in just a moment.
She stabbed me in the leg.
Okay, she stabbed you in the leg.
I tried to take it from her, that's what I sliced my hand.
Okay, so you tried to take it from her, and that's how you sliced your hand.
I finally got it.
And you finally got it.
Fought.
And
We fought. I stabbed her with it.
okay, and then you fought, and then you stabbed her with it?
She was trying to kill me.
Where were you when you heard, you said 2 gunshots?
I was in the bathroom downstairs.
Okay, you were in the bathroom downstairs and you heard 2 gunshots. So then, you were in the bathroom downstairs when you heard the gunshots, so then what did you do?
I left and went upstairs. That's where they were at. That's where I found her.
Okay, so when you went upstairs, where was your mom?
She was standing right by the staircase. On the top floor.
Okay, so she was standing on the top of the staircase, and where was your dad?
Laying not even a few feet from her.
So he was laying not even a few feet from her? Was he laying in the hallway?
Yeah.
Okay. So then what happened after you stabbed your mom?
I told you.
You went down and told the kids to watch TV. And then what?
There's so much blood. I took a shower.
Okay, you took a shower. And is that the downstairs bathroom that you took a shower? Okay.
It didn't feel real.
It didn't then, or it doesn't now?
Then it didn't.
It didn't seem real? Okay.
I felt like I was in a daze.
All right.
This could very well be true, as the brain intentionally blocks or blurs out events that we might find traumatizing or extremely stressful. This is an event referred to as dissociative amnesia, and is characterized by gaps in memory, particularly memory of or around the traumatizing event. However, from a legal standpoint, one could argue that she's setting up nicely for an insanity defense, or at least a lighter sentence based off of her cloudy mind state at the time of the murder.
I didn't want the girls to see. I locked them in this bedroom.
Okay, so you locked them in there.
Food and drinks.
I didn't.
With food and drinks.
With food and drink? Okay. When you say locked them in, what do you mean?
I used a phone charger. No, tied up the door so they couldn't get out. So I didn't want them to see.
To clarify, Ashley is claiming that after she got out of the shower, she locked her 3 little sisters inside of one of their bedrooms with snacks and drinks and told them to watch TV. To ensure that they couldn't get out and see what happened, she then fastened an iPhone charger around the outside doorknob and tied it to a nearby handrail. However, despite her seemingly foolproof plan, the girls actually would end up escaping the room.
And what else?
rest of my stuff in my truck.
Okay.
So I told you I was already leaving. I already had everything packed up. Took the dog. He had a puppy.
Okay.
They told, because we were already getting rid of them, they wanted me to take him to my friend's house. My mom did.
Okay.
We already got rid of the last one.
This would be putting it softly. The oldest two sisters would tell police that Thomas would choke and throw their first dog when he misbehaved, in a cold and callous manner. When their dog disappeared one day, Thomas told them all that he'd taken the dog into the woods, shot him, and fed him to a bear. There's no information to confirm or deny whether this is true, but it gives us a more in-depth look into the treatment the young woman endured while under Thomas's roof.
So you took the dog somewhere?
Right down the street to my friend's house.
Which friend?
John.
John? Okay. What's his last name? Does he have a last name?
He does, but I don't remember it right now.
So was anybody with you when you dropped off the dog?
No, I stayed with John that night.
Oh, you stayed overnight at John's?
Yes.
Okay.
Because my boyfriend was living with him at the time. Because me and my boyfriend were planning on going down to Tennessee to his family's.
Okay.
That was the whole plan.
So you went and stayed that night with John at his house. When you talk about your boyfriend, are you talking about Ryan? Daniel?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you spent the night there at John's, was Daniel there too, or just you?
Daniel was there.
Okay.
Like I said, he's been living there.
Okay. What night was that?
That I went over
That you went to John's house and spent the night?
Saturday.
That was Saturday night? Okay. So the whole, with your mom and dad dying, that was on Saturday?
Yes.
Okay. So then what happened? Anything happened over John's?
No.
Did you talk about the problems?
No.
Okay. So then what happened after that?
We spent the night.
Yeah.
We left.
Okay.
That was the whole plan anyway.
Okay. And you're planning to leave. So then when you left, where did you go from John's?
Went to where I went there.
Okay.
Took a quick trip. Got gas.
So who was driving?
I was.
Okay. It was your truck and you were driving? And like when you said you stopped at Quick Trip, how'd you get gas? What did you use for money?
Cash.
Okay. Whose money?
It's my money.
Your money? Okay. Because you had saved up some money? You know how much you saved up to take on the trip?
You know, whether it was over 300.
Over 300? Okay.
It's less than 500.
All right. So you set the GPS. Do you know what time roughly you would have been at Quick Trip?
It was between 11 and noon.
Okay. So 11 and noon. Do you know what time roughly that gunshot was? The first gunshot?
I really don't remember. It was in the afternoon, and I had to be between 3 and 5.
Okay. Sometime in the afternoon, maybe between 3 and 5. Okay. Do you know what time? Okay, I can tell you the kids are okay. Do you know what time they were rescued?
No.
Okay. What were you going to do? Leave them? How long are you going to leave them there?
Don't know. I wasn't thinking clearly.
Okay.
I was scared.
The fact that the young ladies are fine and managed to escape is the reason the detectives are sitting here now. Not long after Ashley left, the young girls tried the door and realized that it was secured shut. They could only manage to get the door open a crack, and through that crack they could see that the door was being held shut with a cord. The oldest cleverly managed to wiggle her hand into the crack and use the tips of her fingers to slide the cord off the knob. Unfortunately, as soon as the girls were free, they saw the gruesome scene that waited in the hallway and on the staircase. the three young girls would be cruelly forced to creep past both their deceased parents in order to get downstairs, where the oldest called 911. They then proceeded to give some pretty condemning statements to the police, which detectives are going to confront her with after they ask her a few more key questions.
Why do you think your mom did this?
She was done.
She was done?
I was done with him.
Yeah, but what about you? Why do you think she did this? Why do you think she came after you?
I was angry.
Well, at what point did you get angry?
I get angry with her.
Well, everybody gets angry. I get angry.
I
Everybody.
was scared. I wasn't angry with her.
But at some point, the scared turned to blame, and it turned to great sadness because she was blaming you, and it wasn't your fault. Didn't it seem like they were blaming you?
I know she was blaming me.
What the detective is doing here is a common interrogation tactic. He's offering Ashley a way out, in a sense. He's giving her some kind of rational justification for why she might have done something so horrible as to murder her own mother. However, if Ashley has already explained her motive or self-defense for killing her mother, why are the detectives still questioning the reason behind the murder? Well, it's because they have reason to believe that Ashley's motives aren't exactly true.
But something happened there to make you so mad that you stabbed her a lot. What?
I didn't even know I stabbed her a lot.
You stabbed her a lot. And some of the stab wounds are after she was dead.
In other words, this was a case of overkill, where the attacker continues to maim the victim even after they're dead. This kind of murder is commonly referred to as a crime of passion, and is typically the result of a killer who has an emotional connection with the victim, and whose aim isn't solely to kill them, but primarily to release an intense level of anger and emotion disturbance out on them.
What did you do to cause them to argue?
I would see the 22-year-old.
And here we get to the crux of the issue. The truth of what happened on the morning of March 7th, prior to the shootings, is that Jennifer was on the computer, going through Ashley's Facebook account, and she discovered that her just-turned 17-year-old daughter was both messaging and currently dating a 22-year-old man by the name of Ryan, or Danny Cisco. They'd only begun dating 2 or 3 weeks prior, and Ashley had lied to Danny about her age, telling him when they met that she was 17 about to turn 18, when she was, in reality, 16 about to turn 17. Jennifer then exchanged messages with Danny informing him that she was her mother and that her daughter was underaged. When Jennifer called Thomas over to the computer, needless to say, he was furious. This would all occur while Ashley was out that morning running an errand. What happened after she got home is what detectives are looking to find out.
Let me ask you something. Did they take your phone away that day? Because some people think the reason you were so mad is because they took your phone away.
No.
And we're telling you couldn't have that boyfriend.
No.
Because you'll get in trouble for that.
At first they were talking about that it was my stepdad. My mom went and told me just to go. They were kicking me out.
They were kicking you out?
Yes.
What was the whole argument about the keys?
What keys?
That's what I'm asking.
What keys?
Keys to your truck?
At first they weren't going to give it to me. And
Yeah.
they changed their mind.
How do I know about the keys? Or about the argument with the truck, driving it, taking it?
Oh.
Hmm?
What? How?
Well, I do know about it, and that's what I'm trying to get you to understand is we know a little bit about what happened, we just don't know why. Okay? And when the first gunshot happened, your mom was downstairs.
The detective is hitting Ashley with a hard confrontation, a fact that he knows from the officer's conversations with Ashley's little sisters. In fact, Jennifer was actually sitting on the couch watching TV right next to one of her sisters when they heard the gunshots, and Jennifer jumped up and ran upstairs. If her mom and her sisters were downstairs, that leaves only one person who could have possibly fired the gun.
And your mom didn't go after you with the shotgun?
No, she didn't. I never said she did. She went after me with a knife.
Okay. You got the shotgun away from her, but,
Yes.
but as far as the knife is concerned, that's not how it happened. I don't know what happened, but something's, I don't know if it's just rage. I mean, you can go from sorrow to anger real fast. Is there any reason why your sister would tell me that mom ran upstairs to find out what the gunshot was?
I'm confused. Or scared or something because that's not what happened.
Ashley has held notably still throughout the duration of the interview. She changes position occasionally and then proceeds to hold that particular position, even while talking, until she changes position again. This is unnatural for a person having a conversation, and lack of movement and typical social cues when talking can be an indicator that someone is focusing very intensely on what they're saying rather than what they're doing. Ashley has held this position for quite a long time. This is likely because it feels like the safest position to be in, since it allows her to use her hand to block her eyes. Using the hand to shield the eyes and face is a common symptom of discomfort or dishonesty seen in suspects, as the hand serves as a barrier between them and the detectives.
Did you tell Daniel about this?
No.
Why not?
I got caught. I didn't want him to come down with me.
You don't want him to come down with you?
If I got caught, he has nothing to do with it.
Okay. So he doesn't have anything to do with it, and that's important to me to find out what he had to do with this. So did you discuss it at all in the car?
No.
What about when you got pulled over? Because there was quite a bit of time there.
No, I didn't.
This isn't true. Detectives conducted a separate interview with Danny. He would tell them that while they were on their way to Nashville, he saw a wanted poster of his girlfriend on Facebook. He questioned her about it, and at first she refused to say anything. It wasn't until they caught sight of a squad of police cars behind them that Ashley would finally tell her boyfriend her version of what happened that morning.
They have a cigarette.
I don't know, but I need to do, because this isn't where I live, and this isn't where I work. I don't know what their rules are here. I don't know anything.
The appropriate answer here would be an outright no, seeing as Ashley is 17 and not of legal age to smoke. Typically, when a suspect requests to smoke during an interrogation, officers will grant their request in order to both keep them calm and build rapport with the suspect by doing them a favor. But there are clear issues with granting this request.
How close are you and Thomas?
I think we're really close. He did everything for me. The only thing I didn't like about him was that he was not good to my mom.
And you said she wanted to leave and she wanted to take you with. When did you make those plans?
Months ago. I don't know if she was going to still take me or not. I could say I was already planning on leaving. But she wanted out for sure. She really regretted coming up to North Dakota, ever meeting him. She used to tell me all the time if she could go back, she would change it. She would give up everything.
So a couple months ago, you guys made
She's
plans?
been talking about That's when that was the final plan, was her getting the job. But she's been talking about this for the past year and a half, 2 years, ever since he really started hurting her. Just never got a chance to just get a new baby at all. No time to get a job or anything. She spent all her money on him.
How long were you inside your house? Packing? Before you heard the gunshots? Had you been there all day? Or had you just gotten there shortly before that?
Shortly before that, just about that.
Like less than 10 minutes?
I don't know, it was like maybe 15, 20 minutes. Just before that, my stepdad took me on a drive because he was trying to talk to me to stay.
As soon as Ashley returned home from her errands that morning, an explosive argument ensued between her and her parents over what they'd found on her Facebook. During the argument, Ashley stormed out of the house, and her stepfather got in his truck and drove to go get her. He picked her up, and when they returned, she went straight to her room where she continued to pack her things, which brings us here, to right before she went to the downstairs bathroom and supposedly heard gunshots.
And where was Thomas and your mom?
They're in the living room, talking.
What were they talking about?
I would assume they were talking about me.
And how long before the fight started? After you guys got home?
Only 30 minutes.
Okay.
Earlier, Ashley had said that she was only home for about 15 to 20 minutes before hearing the gunshots, but now she's claiming that they were home for 30 minutes before the fight that led to the murder even started. This part of her account doesn't make sense.
And I know that your stepdad wasn't the nicest person. Where'd you shoot him?
I did not shoot him.
The detective is indirectly confronting Ashley with the question of whether or not she shot Thomas. Such a sudden confrontation is meant to catch the suspect off guard so detectives can assess their more immediate response to a question. A few minutes later, the first detective returns and, quite shockingly, takes the minor suspect outside to smoke a cigarette. They come back in 10 minutes later, and detectives dive right back into questioning, and they're coming in more aggressively this time around.
You had the knife, and you got it from her, and so why didn't you leave?
She grabbed me.
Okay. This is what I know. "52 times. 52 times. How come you didn't run? 52 times. Why? "52 times. You didn't have to do that."
Court documents say that Jennifer was actually stabbed about 30 times. Still an excessive amount, but not to the degree that the detective is claiming here.
But the first thing you did afterwards is you grabbed your phone. Not to call the police, not to call the ambulance. Was it to check Facebook? I don't know. But you had to have your phone.
Since the gentle and patient approach the detective used in the first half of the interview didn't seem to yield any answers, it seems he's now taking the opposite route. He's being very direct with her, dropping several harsh truths and intentionally being loud and overly animated in order to stir up her emotions. He's likely relying on the fact that she's a teenage girl and might be more emotionally driven and easily intimidated than the usual suspect.
What did your sister see you doing? Did your sister see you choking your mother?
For choking her.
She said smothering. To me, smothering means trying to cut off so she doesn't scream, doesn't breathe. As they said, his skull is split open. And my mom isn't even blinking. And all we want to know is why. That's all.
After a while longer of continuing the plea with Ashley, they agree to call it a day. But they meet back with Ashley the next day, this time with a damning piece of evidence, a bullet casing from a shotgun found in Ashley's sweatshirt. In order for a bullet casing to have gotten lodged inside Ashley's sweatshirt, she had to have been very close to the shotgun when it was pumped right before it was fired. This detail essentially places Ashley in the shooter's shoes when the gun was operated. But even still, Ashley maintained that she never killed her stepfather. That is, until March 11th, 2016, when she changed her initial plea of not guilty to guilty of 2 counts of second-degree homicide, part of a plea deal. At her sentencing, Ashley didn't comment, but the judge took into account her history of abuse at the hands of both Thomas and her mother's previous boyfriends. Ashley was sentenced to 23 years in prison, to be followed by 17 years of extended supervision. While in prison, Ashley would finally tell what really happened that day. After Thomas brought her back home that morning and she went upstairs, she actually went to her father's room, grabbed the shotgun, and then went to her room. She sat there, contemplating ending her own life, when Thomas came running up to her room and pounded on the door. In that moment, she claims she was instantly overtaken by the fear of him seeing her with his gun and how angry he would be. Seeing no other way out, she opened the door and shot Thomas point blank, before firing into him a second time. In response to the loud bangs, her mother ran upstairs where they proceeded to fight, and Jennifer was stabbed to death. Ashley appealed her sentence in December of 2017, but it was denied a little over a year later. Ashley currently sits inside the Tachita Correctional Facility in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin.